I've had several people ask me about how I layer vinyl and cardstock projects, and today I'm going to show you what I find to be the easiest way. I went ahead and I purchased this SVG from Etsy. It's by a designer by the name of Okity SVG, and I'm going to have my Cricut cut it out and then we'll move on. I went ahead and sized the SVG at 11.5 inches, which is the tallest we can cut on a 12 by 12 mat. And they are cut. I'm going to go ahead and trim out my excess and weed it and get right back to you. When I'm weeding these itty bitty little details, I tend to leave the vinyl on my pick, and it acts kind of like a tape to help pick up the next piece. So you can just keep going for that whole flower, and most of it sticks on the pick, so it's not, you're not having to take it off each and every single time. And this is a baby wipes container. It has a neat little thing to clean off my pick with. This is a piece of parchment paper that we will be using here shortly for layering our design, but it also helps to keep my hand off of the sticky mat while I am weeding when we have to cut away a pretty significant part of your vinyl to save for later. I am going to transfer this image to my cross and then pick up the cross from the same sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my transfer tape the long way so that I have it available for my cross. Okay, I'm ready to prepare to transfer, and I'm going to compare my two images side by side so that I have a better idea of where I want this transfer tape to lay. This parchment paper is what's going to make this transfer easy. But for right now, I'm just going to make sure I don't accidentally stick to that cross. Looking at this, not working so well. I think that's pretty good placement. So I'm going to start on an edge and then roll it over. Before I press too hard, I'm going to get that parchment paper back so that I'm not rolling on top of this sticky mat. That'll make it really hard to pick up in just a minute. I'm going to use my brayer, and I'm going to make sure that this is well adhered to my transfer tape. And let's see if we can get this off first try. Well, we're just going to take it off the mat to begin with. If you go at a steeper angle, it's more likely to stay on your transfer paper and not on its carrier sheet. I'm just pressing down with my nails as I have lift. There we go. I'm going to take this and put it over my whole design. Working with two sticky mats is not ideal. So there we go. He is risen. And now, this is where this parchment paper comes in. I can keep this from touching my mat the whole way. So I can perfectly center my line. And I think I'm going to go with perfectly centering the edge of the R. That's where I have the cleanest line to do this. So you just want to tack down a little bit to make sure that you have it perfectly centered. That's looking pretty good. And then, since it is lining up, we're going to pull away this parchment paper as we press down the transfer paper. And since I'm doing it on camera, it's not perfect, but those lines are very good. Our next step is to make sure it is perfectly adhered to the transfer tape again, top to bottom. And then we're going to take it off of this mat. I'm going to take off the transfer tape, or the backing as well. And then we have our layered He is Risen. We're going to once again put this on parchment paper. And then we have our blank. So we can see through the parchment paper to make sure that our line is exactly how we want it. I think we want that S to just touch into our color strip. That looks like it is spaced well. Using the parchment paper helps us to tack down just one spot on our design while we make sure that everything else is lined up. And then pulling the transfer tape at an angle helps to leave your design where you're placing it. Just like that. So there you have it. How to layer vinyl using parchment paper.